Hey everyone, it's Casey Zilgelman, aka Bellatrix Rock 16 here with my first top 10 video of my new discussion series, and the second video in that series. I'm sorry it took so long to get the second one out. I had a problem with my webcam when we moved my motherboard to a new laptop. It was a whole fiasco with technology, and now I have a new webcam, so here I am with the new video. Hey! For my first top 10 video, I thought it would be fun to count down the top 10 best animated Scooby-Doo movies. I say animated because I'm keeping the live-action ones out of this, as they really stand alone by themselves. This just seemed like a fun topic to discuss with you all, and I hope you have fun watching this video. Bear in mind, these are my opinions, and if your favorites are not on this list, leave a comment down below on which one it is. I may do a follow-up on this video, depending on how many views it gets. Now, let's get started.
Number 10. Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers.
This is actually the second animated Scooby-Doo movie ever made. The first being Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. As it was only an hour, I would call Boo Brothers the first actual made-for-TV movie. This movie may not be one you all are very familiar with, as it was made in 1987, but it is very entertaining. Shaggy's uncle has passed away and leaves our hero his house as well as a treasure map to the family jewels. Shaggy, along with Scooby and Scooby's nephew Scrappy-Doo, head down south to the manor. When they arrive, it turns out the place is being haunted by the ghost of a Confederate soldier. In a desperate attempt to get rid of the ghost, the trio calls upon the Boo Brothers, a trio of ghost exterminators who turn out to be ghosts themselves. With a Three Stooges style, the Boo Brothers join Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy in a crusade against the frightful Phantom. The reason I enjoy this movie is it really gave a start to the Scooby movies and give us a taste of our two favorite boys without Fred, Daphne, and Velma. Plus, we see a side of Shaggy we've never really seen before. He's brave at points throughout the film, and the comedy really comes from the Boo Brothers instead of Scooby and Shaggy. Aside from that, we see a young country girl chasing Shaggy because she wants him to marry her, her brother with a shotgun hunting for Shaggy as they are from rival families who've been feuding for ages, and a bumbling sheriff who may not be all he seems. It is a thoroughly entertaining film and laid the groundwork for the rest of this list. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
Number 9. Scooby-Doo Stage Fright.
In 2013, Scooby-Doo starred in his 26th animated film. The gang is headed for Chicago for Daphne and Fred to contend for first place on the reality show Talent Star, loosely based on American Idol. When they arrive, it turns out the old opera house is being haunted by the Phantom of the opera. And he desperately wants this little 12-year-old girl named Christine to win. Yes, this movie is a parody of the famous musical Phantom of the Opera, and that's what makes it brilliant. It is a hilarious but accurate way to bring the rather intense story to a younger generation. Through twists, turns, about 5 phantoms in total, and one enormous pizza, Scooby-Doo Stage Fright makes the list because it is truly a masterpiece.
Number 8. Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster.
Released in 2004, this is the third movie where the Scooby-Doo gang travels around the world. We get to learn a little bit about Daphne's heritage when we hear the gang is in Scotland to meet her cousin at the family castle. Daphne has been called upon to help host the Highland Games, and when the gang arrives, it turns out the Loch Ness Monster is running amok, destroying the games field. The reasons I think this movie is so good are the fact that we once again get to see another country of the world, and we get to explore its famous legend. Also, something cool is with the Loch Ness Monster, we get to see some of the work of incorporating a little CGI into an otherwise cartoon movie. Plus, we also get multiple monsters and some really neat music rooted in a Scottish tune. But altogether, it was a pretty goofy movie with very little fright, earning it the place of number 8.
Number 7. Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire.
Now, when I was younger, this one did give me a slight dose of the creeps because of Wild Wind. Of course, it was 2003, so I wasn't even 10 yet. However, now that I have watched it several times again, it is one of my favorites. This is the gang's first trip to a different continent of the world. We're headed for the Australian outback for this adventure. When the gang arrives in Australia, they see an advertisement for the Vampire Rock Music Festival, which at the beginning of the movie we find out is being attacked by, you guessed it, vampires! Upon arrival at the festival, we are reunited with the Hex Girls, a band from an earlier Scooby movie which I will be talking about later. I got so excited to see them again! Anyway, The gang goes undercover as a rock band to try and solve the mystery of the vampire. With some kicking rock tunes and hilarious peril, Legend of the Vampire takes the number 7 slot on this list. Number 6. Scooby-Doo, Music of the Vampire. I know I just talked about a Scooby vampire movie, but this one outranks the last one for a good reason. The entire thing is a musical! I am studying theater and adore musicals, so this 2012 movie made my life. Something different from the movies I've discussed up till now, this is one of the earlier movies where Matthew Lillard took over the role of Shaggy for Casey Kasem. The gang is headed back to the bayou. They'd been there before in another movie I'll discuss later as well, because after fighting ghosts and ghouls for so long, they need a vacation. Velma has picked the location in an attempt to surprise her friends. By the way, this is the only movie I've ever seen her driving the van. And for good reason. You'll see in the opening number. When the gang arrives in Louisiana, a vampire festival is taking place. This was the vacation destination. We meet Velma's friend Dr. Van Helsing, a descendant of the vampire hunter. When they go to see a show performed by actors who dress and live like vampires, a real one appears during their staging. With a new musical number at every turn, this movie is one of my favorites. I just love the fact that the animators had to actually take the time to animate these dance numbers. As the story is a little corny, I must put the movie as number 6, though. Number 5. Scooby-Doo and the Cyberchase. This is the last movie in the early Scooby movie animation style before they turned to the models from What's New Scooby-Doo. In this film, we get a little more high-tech as the gang is zapped into cyberspace. While visiting their friend Eric, computer genius and Scooby-Doo video game creator, the gang encounters a phantom virus with a terrible habit of making baseball puns. Our favorite group of meddling kids must make their way through the different levels of Eric's video game, collecting boxes of Scooby snacks. My favorite part about this movie is the final level, where the real gang meets the cyber gang. The story was wildly creative and played off as a fun adventure through the gaming world. It was a perfect way to bring Scooby into the 21st century. I don't like it as much as others, but I like it more than many, which is why it is smack dab in the middle of this list at number 5. Number 4. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. This 1998 film is hailed as the greatest Scooby movie of all time. As you can see from its ranking on this list, I disagree. Something interesting I find appropriate to bring up with this movie is the fact that Casey Kasem did not voice Shaggy in this or several films after it. Shaggy was voiced by Billy West in this film and Scott Innes, Scooby in this movie, and many more, in the following films. This is something I honestly did not know until I was doing research for this video. Now on to the actual content of the movie. After one final mystery, the Scooby gang separates in order to go about their own dreams. But for Daphne's birthday, Fred calls the others back together to surprise her. Together, the gang heads off across America for Daphne's TV show, Ghost to Ghost with Daphne Blake. They are in search of real haunts and find nothing but people in masks. Until they go to the Louisiana bayou. Told you they'd been there before Music of the Vampire, and I'm surprised that they went back after this movie. Upon arriving at Moonscar Island, the gang meets Simone Lenoir, whose house is truly haunted by the spirits of pirates. While Shaggy and Scooby are on a picnic attempting to flee Simone's dozens of cats, the boys get into a row with Snakebite Scruggs, voiced by the incomparable Mark Hamill. It may have ruined my life just a little bit whenever I found out that was him. Upon falling into a pit, the boys activate a centuries-old curse and revive the zombie of Morgan Moonscar, whom the island is named after. Well, dozens of zombies and several therapy trips later, we're in for quite a terrifying time. Now, I am sure you all are freaking out about why this movie is only at number 4, right? Here's my reasoning why. This movie is freaking terrifying for toddlers! The plotline is beyond excellent, but it is very intense for kids. We're talking about real werecats killing real people, turning them into real zombies, which haunt your nightmares for years. I should know. Scooby-Doo is a show based on busting bad people trying to scare others. This was legit peril the gang was in. The animations of the zombies in that movie made them incredibly unsettling, especially during Terror Time Again when they're popping up right at the screen. The movie itself is phenomenally written and almost too well animated, but when you're little and you haven't yet mastered the art of telling between fiction and reality, this movie is one of the most terrifying experiences you could have. I know it did a number on me, and I am sure some of you are watching this and going, yeah, it did me too. So despite the incredible writing, this movie ranks 4 because of the overly terrifying factors. Number 3, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. In 1988, another movie without Fred, Velma, and Daphne came to TV. Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy are on the road to Miss Grimwood's School for Girls, where Shaggy is to be the new PE teacher. What they didn't know is this is a school for girl ghouls. Terrified of the daughters of Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, the Mummy, and the Phantom, Shaggy and Scooby are ready to leave. But after getting to know the girls, they find themselves right at home and ready to take on the neighboring military school in a volleyball match. But lurking beneath the surface is the evil witch of the web, Revolta, who is bent on returning the world of monsters to evil and mayhem. Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy must protect their new friends or lose them forever! I adore this film because once again we get to see Shaggy and Scooby in a different, braver light. They become friends with monsters they would normally head for the hills from with the gang. I know I oppose the use of real monsters in Zombie Island, but take note. The monsters in this movie are shown as little children learning to make their way in the world and win a volleyball game. Not as terrifying as zombies stalking you in the night. Just saying. We see the famous monsters being adorable, proud parents of their children, and our heroes brave protectors of their young charges. Along with Matches the Dragon, the Grim Creeper, and a medley of giggling ghouls, this movie makes number 3 on my list because it is a ton of fun to watch. Number 2, Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders. The first Scooby-Doo movie of the 21st century comes in at number 2 on my list. While traveling through the desert of the western USA, the Scooby Gang's van breaks down in the middle of the night outside of town. As they guard the van and get into a fight over the last Scooby snack, Shaggy and Scooby find a mysterious glowing cave where aliens were waiting to greet them with terror. After being abducted later that same night by those same aliens, the boys meet their love interests for the film, Crystal and Amber the Golden Retriever, who are not as down-to-earth as they appear. As the gang works to uncover the mystery behind the so-called aliens, they are dragged into one of the biggest out-of-this-world adventures ever. With Mark Hamill joining up with the cast as the voice of Steve, Shaggy's song Groovy, and one of the craziest plot twists ever attempted in this universe, this movie soared through the galaxy as one of the best Scooby movies ever, landing my number 2 pick. Before I reveal my number 1 pick for Best Animated Scooby Movie, I want to give a shout out to some of the honorable mentions who just missed the mark by a point or two. Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. Shaggy was turned into a werewolf by Dracula for a big monster road race in Transylvania. Highly goofy and almost took Boo Brothers' spot on this list, but as it was too goofy, I left it off. Scooby-Doo and the Monster of Mexico. Very cool seeing El Chupacabra, but altogether this film was a bit confusing to follow at times. Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King. I felt the other 2 movies where Shaggy and Scooby were the real heroes of the film outranked this one even with the added musical numbers. And lastly, Scooby-Doo Pirates Ahoy. This to me felt like a very watered-down remake of Zombie Island since the bad guys were zombie pirates. Though the plot was different, I was still a little disappointed in this one. Now my number 1 pick for the best Scooby-Doo animated movie. Number 1, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. The last Scooby-Doo movie of the 20th century has taken the number 1 place on my list. This one has always been my favorite, and it will take an excellent new movie to make me change my mind. We open on a museum with ghost Vikings wreaking havoc and the gang on the case. But the one to ultimately stop the bad guys was horror writer Ben Ravencroft. I think Ben's voice sounded familiar? I did. The amazing Tim Curry joined the Scooby universe voicing Ben Ravencroft, which gave this movie a ton of points with me because Tim is perfect in everything he does. Well, after being invited to his hometown in Massachusetts, the gang is off to Oakhaven for a fall retreat away from spooks and creeps. For a brief 5 minutes. The town is celebrating the appearance of the ghost of Ben's ancestor, Sarah Ravencroft, who was tried and killed as a witch centuries earlier. Harsh, huh? Ben reveals that he has been looking for Sarah's journal for years so he could clear his family name. After gorging themselves on an enormous meal while the rest of the gang goes ghost hunting, Shaggy and Scooby are the ones who find her. Shocking, isn't it? When they join up with the gang, we see strange colors in the sky and hear strange noises. Upon investigation, the gang finds another big reason, or rather 3, this film takes number 1. The Hex Girls are introduced to us through the song, I'm a Hex Girl. The Hex Girls have become the most iconic minor characters in Scooby-Doo history, making returns in Legend of the Vampire, a 2-part What's New Scooby-Doo episode, and in Mystery Incorporated. We all grew up loving their 2 songs from Witch's Ghost and never forget their names. These girls play an enormous part in Witch's Ghost, as it is Thorn who is the key to ending the town's curse. With a real ghost of a witch, voiced by Tress MacNeille, Dot in Animaniacs, Tim Curry, excellent writing which I believe has the right amount of fear and fun, and the introduction of the most iconic trio of girls since the Sanderson sisters, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost is my pick for Best Animated Scooby Movie of all time. So there you have it. Those were my top 10 animated Scooby-Doo movies. Did you enjoy my list, or believe other films belonged here in place of others? Let me know in the comments below what movies you think deserved a slot, if you thought my list was good, and if you think I should do a follow-up on this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more of my existing videos and future projects. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.